Okay, good morning again. The topic we'll be discussing over the next 2 days or 3 days is AVFoundation. The app we'll be building is this app here. It has one view controller, one scene. At the top here, we have 2 bar button items. When I click, in that case, this is a simulator. That's why I have no access to video. But if I'm working on a device, I strongly recommend using a device if you have one. If you don't have a device, I did Slack out yesterday a compressed file with video files in there. Did everybody get access to it?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, cool. Was everybody able to put in the simulator?
No.
How?
No, I downloaded them.
We'll go through how to add it, but basically, if you just access the photos on the simulator, you're able to drag that video into your photos on the simulator. But we'll go through it.
That.
What's that?
I tried that. It
did not. Yeah, just drag the video.
No, it gave me an error.
So let's do that first. We might not get to the video portion of it today, but that's fine. But let's all open up our simulators. Open up your simulator and go to Photos. So access Photos, the Photos app on the simulator.
Yeah.
In that case, I will delete this one. I think I have this one already. Okay, so I will open up my Finder. I will go to where we have the assets. So I sent out this AVFoundation assets.zip file. If you uncompress it, first uncompress it by double clicking on it. Did everybody uncompress it?
Yeah. Okay,
so uncompress it by double clicking on it. Go inside the folder. And now, where is the Disney Mulan? I think that was Disney Mulan.
Hey,
right?
My computer's shut off. I'm missing what we're doing right now.
Okay, we'll do it again when we get to that part. But for now, what we're doing is just basically getting a video from somewhere into our simulator. And now what we want to do is just drag in, I think it might be the Disney, it might be the Onward one. So I'll just drag in a file, anyone. I could just drag in all if I don't have all. So just drag the video into the simulator.
Did you send these videos out?
Yesterday, yes.
The error that I get is one or more media items failed to import, and then it says PH photos error domain.
So any of the videos were not able to enter into the simulator?
Yeah, I tried to. Yeah, all of them don't work.
Try getting like a photo itself, like just drag a photo from somewhere, like on Google, or you could just go to, just get a photo.
That works. Photo.
Okay. Photo.
If it works with everybody else, that's fine. I'll just use my phone and I'll figure it out later.
Okay, if you have a phone, that's fine. That's for people without a phone.
Yeah, no, I wanted to also just test it out on my simulator.
I'll figure it out offline, like how it's not working.
Yeah, that's totally fine. If it's working for everyone else.
Is everybody else is working for you? How is the chat?
It works for me.
It works fine for me.
Okay. One thing you could do too, Mini, go to your simulator here. Go to the simulator settings. Where is it? Simulator settings, and where is that setting to delete the simulator? Simulator.
Alex, it's really totally fine. I can figure it out later. I don't want to.
Go to simulator and go to device and erase all content. So basically, you're getting a brand new simulator. Okay. So simulator device, erase all content, and try it again, okay?
Okay.
All right. And everybody else is fine, right? Anybody else not working for them, especially folks without devices. This is especially for folks without devices where you cannot get video. Okay. So at this point, we have video. We also have images in our simulator. Awesome. Okay, so this is the overview of the app. I have 2 buttons. I'm able to add video. I'm able to add images. We have a collection view here.
Can you just, we command all, and then we What
Yeah,
do
you could grab everything and just like put it in there.
All right, but how do I slide it over?
You just drag it over.
It's not.
You just drag it over.
And,
Mouse click down on it and drag it over.
oh, okay, awesome. They're all there.
Awesome. So the interface for our app, again, this app, it might take us a few days to build it, but that's fine. We'll be working on our group projects in tandem. The group project itself has more than just this part of the app there. But at the end of the app, we'll be able to capture video, and we'll be able to also, well, we've seen images before, but this is the first time we'll be doing video, the video component of it. If I click on a video, it will present a view, so I could see the video in full screen, for example. So this is the interface of the app. One scene, 2 action items, and I have cells in the collection view. At the top of my collection view here, I have a header view. I also think we haven't seen a header view in the collection view yet, so we'll also get a chance to see how can I add a header view to my collection view. So that header view here is known as a supplementary view, so we'll see what that supplementary view looks like. And where I am getting this content from, everybody please update your canvas. This is coming from our canvas.
Hey, Alex, I'm going to step out, okay?
Sure.
I'll talk to you later.
The lesson link is in the canvas for AVFoundation. So access the canvas link in AVFoundation there. And let me know if everybody's able to access it. That's where we're getting the content from.
You said access the AV link?
So click on AVFoundation in Canvas. So AVFoundation and click on the lesson link here. Are we all able to get it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so this is the interface. Objectives of the app, when we're all done, we should be able to capture video using the UI image picker controller. We've seen UI image picker controller before, but we haven't seen it along with videos.
Show you. Guys, no.
Somebody please mute. Play video using AV player view controller. So this AV player view controller, it's another view controller, very similar to our image picker controller. But this AV player controller, we'll be able to play our video from that. And this is part of AV Kit. So we should be able to do that at the end of this app. Next things we're able to do, we're able to generate a video preview. This is a video preview here of the Pixar animation. It's a video preview. So we're able to make a video preview using AV Asset Image Generator, also part of AVFoundation. Next, we'll be able to play video using a CA layer. We've seen CA layers before. When we want to change the corner radius on a given view, we access the layer. The view itself doesn't have a corner radius. Very similar, if I want to play a video in a view, any view, I need to play that video in the layer of the video. Right, so this is step 4. And step 5, be able to persist video and play it back. Okay, that's what we'll be doing as well. Any questions before we continue? Okay, so again, we're using AVFoundation framework here. This is the first time we're using it in class. We'll be importing AVFoundation. AVFoundation is huge, right? Very similar to the complexity of core data. There's books written on AVFoundation. So AVFoundation allows you to do, AV stands for audio video. So it allows you to both do audio components of your app or video components of your app, or both of them together. So this is the AVFoundation part of iOS here. Okay. So to begin, we'll be talking about AVFoundation via the app. And again, a demo is worth 1,000 words of explanations. So we'll kick off building the app out. And as we get to different components of it, we'll be talking about what component of AVFoundation are we talking about. Some components we have seen before as far as like basic iOS development, but some of the newer components we haven't seen, like for example, supplementary header views and stuff like that. We'll talk about that and how we could implement that, okay? So to begin, we'll open up Xcode and we will create an app called AVFoundation MediaFeed. So let's now navigate over and create an Xcode project. Brand new Xcode project. sorry. What did I select? New project. New project, single view application, click next. And here I said AVFoundation MediaFeed is the name of our app. Okay, baby, bye-bye. Sorry, guys. AVFoundation MediaFeed. Storyboard is fine. We'll actually uncheck core data. If we need core data, we'll see how to add core data after the fact. But we've done core data by checking it. But now just make sure core data is unchecked. That way we could see how to add core data after a project has existed. Cool. So all the options are off. We go next. I'll save this in my documents. I'll say create. Okay, so here I have my project. My project is called AVFoundation. Again, we prefix it with AVFoundation, easier to find. And we'll call the project MediaFeed. Okay, cool. Let's now, actually, let's refactor the view controller name. So refactor the view controller name. Let me make this bigger. Let me actually start hiding this because I don't want that to show up. Hide panel. Let me make this bigger. Preferences. Larger text here. Okay. So first off, let's refactor the view controller. So refactor the name. We'll call it MediaFeed View Controller. MediaFeed View Controller. Okay. Then let's go to the storyboard to set up our UI. In storyboard, we want to embed, again, we're trying to go for this app here, right? So I want to embed my app in a nav controller so I have access to the nav bar so I could add the two bar button items. So let's go ahead and do that. So click on the view scene, go down to embed it in a navigation controller. Embed it in a navigation controller. Let's see the chats. Same error. Okay, that was an error earlier. Okay, cool. So we embedded in a nav controller. Let's start off by giving it a name. So the name, we'll call it MediaFeed. MediaFeed. MediaFeed has two bar button items. Let's drag in some bar button items. So bar button item. We have one item here. We could click down option click to drag a second item. Our first item, we'll make it a photo. So select photo.fill for the first item. Second item, we'll make it video fill. Okay. How's everybody doing?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. So here we have our two bar button items. Great. Next, we said we have a collection view. So the collection view takes up this entire scene here. So let's get a collection view. Collection view. Select my collection view and let's add the constraints on the collection view. So the collection view constraints will be 0, top, 0, leading, 0 trailing, and 0 bottom. 4 constraints for my collection view.
Alex, can you repeat again, please? 0 everywhere?
0 everywhere, yeah. 0 everywhere. So 0 top, 0 leading, 0 trailing, 0 bottom. That's our collection view. We can make the cell a little wider. I'll actually change the cell size in the size inspector here. I'll just make it 340 by 340. Again, that doesn't affect the actual finished size of it. That just gives us space to work. So we have our cell. We'll go ahead and add a UI image to it. Add a UI image to our cell. And we'll set it to take the entire space of the cell. So the constraints of the image view is going to be 0 everywhere. So 0 everywhere. Great. For my image view, I'll give it a default image. Image view. So select the image view, make sure it's the image view you have selected. And I'll give it a default image. So I'll select an image here. For now, I'll just say video. Well, of just video. That's fine. So here I have my image. I have my collection view. So far, so good. So far, so good. Any questions so far? Okay, while we're here, we said we were going to add a header view. So if I look back at my app here, I have my cells, but above my cells, I have a header view. So to add this header view on a collection view, I click on my collection view. Does everybody see in the attributes inspector accessories?
Yeah.
All right. Under accessories here, I want to select section header. So under accessories, I want to select section header. So as I select section header, it gave me a header. Okay. This header also needs a reuse identifier. Okay. The header for every section in that collection view, if I declare a header, I need to give it a reuse identifier. Very similar to our cells. This view here is a reusable view, right? This is a reusable view, very similar to our cell being a reusable view. So for my header view, I selected section header. Now I want to click on it. Sorry. Section header, I want to click on my section header. Do we now see collection reusable view identifier?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
For the identifier, just put in header view here, header view, and press enter. So the reuse identifier becomes header view. And for our cell, we also need a reuse identifier for our cell. We'll just call it media cell. So make sure
Alex,
before
how
we
did you
leave.
set identifier? What did you press before?
The first one, do you have 1 second? I want to make sure you have what we have before we continue. Click on your collection view.
Yeah.
For accessories, did you check section header?
Yes. Yeah.
Now click on the section header above the video here. Click on the section header.
Oh, now I see. Mm-hmm.
And then you put in the identifier here. And we
Header
call
view,
we
okay.
called it header view, yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. So next step here, let us go and connect it to the view controller. We have enough to go ahead and connect it to the view controller. So let us now open up let's go back to our code. View controller, option click on the storyboard, reverse order, thank you. Storyboard, option click on my media file here, good. So I should have my scene next to my storyboard. Close the document outline, make some more space here. Close this, and let's start making some connections. Does anybody want us to go over anything? Everybody's okay for now? We all on the same place here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So let's make some connections. We need connections to both buttons. Let's go ahead and do so. So first, and we need action items too. So for my button, I'll control drag from my video over to my view controller. It's a bar button item. I'll call it video button. I will also control drag from my photo library, I'll call it. Photo library button, photo library button. So here I have access to 2 buttons, and now I need access to action items. So I'll go to my video. I'll have an action here. I'll call it video button pressed. Great. And next, for my photo library, I'll also have an action here. Change the type to UI bar button item, and we'll call it photo library button pressed. Connect that. Great. Awesome. So at this point, actually the collection view, I now have one thing left to connect here. Collection view, let's connect our collection view over to our outlets here. Call it collection view.
Alex,
Yes.
I have a little problem. When I'm trying to connect my, even the first UI bar button, I have a red message as I'm trying, like, I literally am trying to like connect it.
Most times that happens, quit Xcode and reopen.
Okay.
And that should fix the problem.
Okay.
Because we did not add a new scene, so your view controller knows about its view controller code there. So quit Xcode and reopen. It should fix it. Let us know. Okay, cool. So for now, we could close out of the storyboard and keep working on our MediaFeed controller. Again, for this app, we'll basically have one controller to work with, and everything else will be either a model file or core data file or some sort of extension. But for now, we only have one view controller in this particular app here. So we have our collection view. Let's go ahead and set up or configure our collection view. So private function. Lilia, did that work? Lilia? Collection view, configure that. So collection view.
Sorry, I didn't know I was muted. Sorry. Yeah, it did work.
Okay, perfect.
Uh-huh.
Self, and then collection view delegate equal to self. And we'll configure collection view here. Perfect. All right. So here we're getting warnings, errors, sorry, because now we're saying we'll conform to data source, but we haven't done that. We're saying we're conforming to delegate, we haven't done that. So we need to go ahead and write our extensions and conform to UI collection view data source and UI delegate flow layout. While we're here, what else can we do? That's fine. We'll do that and we'll come back. All right, so at the bottom of our class, let's write some extensions. So extension, we want to extend our MediaFeed controller. We want to conform to UI collection view data source. And we also want to conform to the delegate. UI collection view delegate flow layout. Those are the 2 protocols. For our data source, this is the source of our data. We need to implement the 2 required methods here. So number of items in section. Here we could simply return 20 and our cell for items. So what's that? Was there a question? Cell for item. Cell for item at row, sorry. Okay, cool. So cell for item, we don't have a custom cell yet. We'll have to create one because remember, a collection view doesn't have anything in its cells, right? The cell is basically empty. So anything you have to do for a collection view, you have to create a custom cell. But for now, we don't have a custom cell yet. So we'll simply say cell. Again, the point of this is to make sure our cells are rendering correctly. So cell collection view dot deq reusable cell. Identifier is media cell index path here, and we'll simply return cell. Okay. Next, let's deal with the size of the items. So size for item. So simply type in size for item at. So if you just type in size for item, press enter, it will get you the appropriate method. Here we want size for item at index path, returns a CG size of width and height. So that's all we need. So let's write some logic to calculate that. So we'll say max size is some sort of CG size. And the maximum size of the device, we'll get it from UI screen. We'll get it from the screen, from main, from bounds. And we'll say size. So this is the max width and height. Max width and height of the current device. Great. So we have the maximum size. Next, what we need is some sort of item width. Each item has its own width. This we're gonna get CG float. For now, I'll just say 0. And next we'll say item height is also type CG float. We'll say 0 for now. And at the end, what we need to do is just return a CG size. So we could simply say return CG size. Again, a CG size is a tuple of 2 values. Here we have a width and a height. Again, this is a tuple here. Item width and item height. Now we need to do some calculations as to figure out what we want to do. For the width of it, we could say max size, maybe take up the entire width of the thing. So we'll say width, so take up the entire width. For the height, we'll return some calculation based on the height of the device. So height, we could say maybe 50%. We'll start off with 50% and see how it looks. Maybe 50% might be too much. We'll do 40%. So this is 40% of the height of the device. Okay. Next, we could also look at the section insets or insets for section. So just type in insets for section, and this will tell you, do you want your cell to be at the top of the collection view, or do you want some sort of padding there? So we could return. We're returning this type. It's a UI edge insets, a tuple of 4 values. So UI edge insets. And for this, we could return the top. We could start off by making the top 0, the left, maybe make it 0 as well. The left, maybe make it 10. The bottom, maybe make it 0. The right, maybe make it 10. Something like that. We'll play with those numbers and see how the UI looks. And adjust those numbers. But basically, we have everything in place to render the size of the collection view or the collection view items, and also return, for now, we're returning 20 hard-coded numbers. That's just your basic collection view. Oh, Lilia, you had a question, right? The last time I forgot, I just remembered. You wanted to see how a code snippet was created, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we could basically you could highlight the entire extension, both extensions. So highlight the delegate extension, highlight the data source extension, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically from line 36 to line 58.
Mm-hmm.
And then right click on it anywhere on that highlighted area, right click on it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see create code snippet?
Yep.
So click on that. And for the title here, you could give it collection view extensions, for example. And the most important part of the code snippet is this bottom part here where it says completion. Do you see completion here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in the completion, that's what you write out in order to finish it. So I could say collection view extensions, all one word, lowercase. Collection view extensions. That's what I wrote for the completion. So anytime I type that into Xcode, it will give me that snippet. I type it in, I press enter, it's going to give me that snippet.
Mhm.
So collection view extensions, when you're done, you click done. You see the done button? So click done and let's test it out. You could just mouse out of this and it's gonna close. So let's test it out. We could test it out by deleting all the code here and then type out create collection view extensions and you get it. Did that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, did I take the wrong one? Okay. When one has many extensions, that's what happens. Create collection view. I think I have many extensions here. Okay. Let me rename this. It works for you, right?
I'm still finishing up the type in the extension because I was like behind because I had to start
The
my-
type in the extension, this part here.
Yeah, like the yeah.
Okay, so once you finish, just like do what we did, and you'll have the snippet.
Mm-hmm.
All
Okay.
right. Any other questions about collection view setup here? Again, that collection view is older collection view. Well, not older. It's there's a newer collection view flow layout type we'll discuss later in the program. But for now, this is the older framework dealing with collection views. There's a newer, more robust framework to deal with collection views. But again, knowing the older way or this way is very vital for being a developer because you'll deal with code where most times that's what you'll see as far as like resources on it. But we'll see what the new collection view flow layout looks
Can
like.
you scroll up?
Alex, can you scroll down,
Mhm.
please?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why it's
What, you have an error?
no, but it's when I type in. Usually, when I type in inset,
Oh, the complete not coming up?
it's giving me.
Are you definitely saying you are collection view delegate flow layout here? On the conformance?
Yes, but I'm getting my thing says collection view layer, then it says UI collection view, but then behind that it says inset for section add and then section. Does that matter?
What are we returning here? So you said inset for, right? And you got inset for section, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you need. And all what you have to return is the UI edge insets.
Oh, but that's not what yours had before. So how come yours had something?
What do I have? Did I implement the wrong one? Collection view layout section for insets. Oh, this is the wrong one. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh.
Collection view layout, collection view flow layout. Yeah, this is the wrong one. This is the wrong one. So insets, thank you, Tiffany. Insets for, that's what happens when I have that big font in my way. Insets for, inset for, what am I? Inset for section, that's what I want. Please update this, everybody. Make sure it says inset for section. That's what we want here. Everybody?
Yeah.
All right. So that does the padding around the collection view. And if you don't want no padding at the top of the cell and the collection view itself, you set it to 0. If you don't want no padding to the left, no padding to the right, that's so forth and so on. Okay. Cool. Let's actually run it and test it. Before you run it and test it, let's verify that in your view did load, you are calling configure collection view, because if you're not, then you're not gonna get 20 cells here and you're not gonna get any cells. So make sure you're calling configure in your view did load. Make sure you have your collection view all set up and connected. And let's run this. Not on my phone. I'll run it on the simulator. What do we have here? Okay, we have our cells. That's great. Anybody tell me what's going on here?
We need to set like our height for row, I believe, or just cell information configuring.
Height for row. But we are doing that, right? We're doing that here. We're saying CG size here, so we're giving it a size, right?
I think we have to go to storyboard and press on collection view.
Okay, so Luba says we need to go to storyboard and press on collection view. Okay.
And go to size inspector.
Go to size inspector.
And change automatic.
And Luba says change automatic to none. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Right? Because again, as of iOS 13, this is automatic by default, right? Before it was not automatic by default. You were not getting automatic size resizing cells. But now it comes automatically. If you don't want to have it automatically and you have your own size, you need to change this estimated size to none here. Okay. So at this point, if we run the app again, we should get the behavior we want, which we do. Right. So here it scrolls vertically. This is our default scrolling, and we have all our cells showing up. Does everybody have their cells showing up correctly?
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Perfecto. Okay, but our header doesn't show up, right? We want to have a header here. There's no, well, it does show a header, but we need to have some code to work on that header and what that header looks like. So first off, let's go create a new file. So again, to reiterate, we created a header here, a section header, by adding the section header here in accessories. We said we want to have a section header. It does return us a section header, but now we want to have access to this subclass in order to return that header when we need to in our code. Very similar to a cell for row. I need to write a subclass for my cell and pass that cell in the reuse code in my view controller in order to return whatever header view I want to return. Okay. So again, we need to create a cell subclass and we need to create a header subclass. Does everybody see where we're going with this? Yes?
No, I'm sorry, what?
We have two reusable views here. We have a cell. We need to create a subclass for that cell, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Christian?
Yeah, I'm following.
Right, because right now there's no cell to manage this cell here, correct? There's no class to manage that cell.
Okay.
We need to create a subclass of collection view cell for this, correct?
Mm-hmm.
In the same fashion, we need to create a subclass to manage this header here as well, because they're both reusable views.
Okay.
All right. So let's first create the cell, and we'll just see why the both of them are so similar. So let's go create a cell. So it's a Cocoa Touch class. It's a subclass of UI collection view cell. So subclass of UI collection view cell. We'll call it media cell. Again, our collection view doesn't come with any default cell, correct?
Yeah.
So we need to write a cell class to manage the cell we want. If we want to have a cell with images, a cell with a button, whatever we want our cell to have, we need to write a subclass for it. So here we have a subclass of UI collection view cell. We click next here. We click create here. Great. We have our cell. Awesome. Next, we also need to create a next file, a subclass of UI collection reusable view. So type in UI collection reusable view. This subclass will manage the header view, okay? It's a subclass of UI collection view, reusable view. That's for the header view. And we'll call this header view. Unlike a table view, you could create any view and just say table view.header view equal to whatever view that is. We've done table views before. Everybody remember that, right? The header view?
Yeah.
All right. But with the collection view, it's slightly different. You have to create this reusable view here, a subclass of it, and then return that in the appropriate protocol method. So we have the class, we say next here, we say create, and here we have the header view. Just to make sure that we are returning the right header view, we'll override our layout subviews. We'll call super.layout subviews, and we'll just give it a color. So background color, system yellow, for example, system yellow. So this is the header view for our header, and we have our cell, our media cell class as well. Again, we'll see where we have to write code to get back that header view. We have to implement a new protocol and delegate method in order to set up the supplementary view. So actually, let's go ahead and set up the supplementary view first. So this is the header view. This will be the header view for the collection. So media cell we have, right? And the header view we have. And now let's go back to our controller. In our controller, we'll go to our data source extension, data source here. Let's just put some pragma marks here. Mark UI collection view data source methods. If we do this, when we go to the jump bar, if we do that, when we go to the jump bar,
don't you have to add the dash first?
We'll be able to see. I don't have the dash here. No, you don't have to add the dash. So here I'm able to see UI collection view data source methods here, and just jump to it. Cool. It just gives like a label to your extension here. We could do the same thing for this extension. So 2 forward slashes, mark all uppercase, and then UI collection view delegate methods. Again, that's just for jumping quickly to something. So I could go to the jump bar and see my UI collection view data source methods and see my UI collection view delegate methods if I just want to jump really quickly. Because without that, there's no name here. I need to figure out, oh, is this the data source methods? Is this the delegate methods? But now I could just give it a label. Okay. So in our data source methods, we have our number of items. This is for our collection view. We have our cell for row. Now, since we have this header view here, we need to return some sort of view for the header view. Okay. Did we register it, by the way? No, we haven't. So that's going to crash. But let's just write the code first. Start typing in view for supplementary and press enter. Again, type in view for supplementary, press enter. So what's this protocol method? This protocol method asks the data source, give me the view for this section you're talking about. Give me back a view. And you need to return some view of type UI collection reusable view, right? As long as it inherits from UI collection reusable view, you are good. This is why we have this subclass here. Header view, subclasses from UI collection view, reusable view. So we're able to use this header view here as our view. So let's go ahead and do so. This is also a dequeuable view, very similar to our cell for row. So the code is very similar here. So what I want to do is I want to guard. Why am I guarding? Because it's a subclass of UI collection reusable view. I want to return a header view. So I need to typecast it to a header view, very similar to our cell code. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So here we'll say guard. We're expecting some sort of header view. We'll say header view here. We'll say collection view dot dequeue, right? Collection view, there's 2 dequeue views here. There's a dequeue cell and there's a dequeue supplementary view. We're not using the dequeue cell. We're using the dequeue supplementary view because we want to return back a supplementary view. So press that. For the kind here, for where it says of kind, what type of header you're returning. Is it a footer header or is it a header, right? Is it a footer or is it a header? In our case, we're returning a header. So we want to say UI collection view dot header. So UI collection view dot element kind section header. At the end of the day, it's just a string. But instead of just hard coding the string, Apple gives us this API here that says it's a constant. So it just returns UI collection view dot element header because we need a header. We don't need a footer here. That's what we have. Next in our argument list is the reuse identifier. What's the reuse identifier?
So
Header view.
Header view. That's what we put in storyboard. And index path here, very similar. And here we'll say else fatal error, could not be queue, could not be queue.
Alex, don't you have to cast it?
Did I not cast it yet? So cast it here, because that's gonna be an error. Cast it to a header view. Thank you. Could not DQ header view. Yeah, you have to cast it here. You have to type cast it here. This is why we use the guard statement, okay? Because we're saying, oh, I want this header view to be of type header. I want this supplementary view, sorry, to be of type header view. So we cast it again, very similar to our cell for row logic. And now we have a header view. We're able to now just simply say return header view. Again, for this use case, our header view is very simple. It doesn't have any elements in it. But for your header view, you could have more stuff there. You could have had a button. You could have had a label. Any element you could have had in your view. But in our particular header view, it doesn't have any elements in there. Everybody with me so far?
Yes.
Again, the code here is very similar to cell for row, okay? You typecast the type you want. In that case, we typecast it to a header view, and we simply return header view. And header view is of type UI collection view, UI reusable view, right? Everybody with me?
Alex, if we were to have a button and we wanted to add functionality, we would need to use a delegate, right?
Our favorite topic, yep. Yeah. So Amin's question was, if our header view, for example, has like some sort of button here, just say private, or make it public, really doesn't matter, make it private. Let button equal to UI button. Right? You have some sort of button here, correct? Amini?
Yeah, I'm listening.
So obviously this would be like a lazy var, and then would have like context in there, correct? But if the user clicks on that button, how does the view controller know, right?
Okay.
So you'd use like a protocol on it, and like a header view delegate.
Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Good. So now we are going back to our controller. We have our header view. We actually have enough code here to test it. And again, the test is what? What are we looking for here? What should the header view be?
It'd be yellow.
It should be yellow. Okay, so let's run the app. And it crashes. Aha. We said it was going to crash because we did not do something. What's that something? UI collection view layout is not defined because the item width must be less. Item width here.
Because we didn't define it.
Okay. And fiddle could not dequeue. So here we cannot dequeue anything. So first of all, we have a couple more errors. But first, I don't think we gave it a class. So let's go give it a class because this is why it crashed. It crashed right here, fiddle error, could not dequeue.
A class, it'll work.
Yes, so let's go ahead and do that. Does that make sense to everybody? Very similar to cell for row. It's trying to dequeue something that's not registered yet. I need to make sure we're all on board here. Does that make sense, everybody? Thumbs up?
That makes sense.
All right, cool. So let's go fix that. In our storyboard, let's navigate back to storyboard.
Oh.
And we go to the header view. Click on header view, click on the section header. It has an identifier, that's great. But what's about the class? What's the class? What do we need to do here?
With the header view.
We need to put the header view. Everybody agrees?
Correct.
So we need to put in the header view here. We press enter, make sure we press enter. And at that point, we could run the app again. And now we got our yellow header. So that makes sense. That works. Now the compiler is, let's see. Now it complains. It wants us to return some sort of like header view height. Let's go ahead and do so. Because right now, this is the default 44 pixels, but we want this to be bigger. This header view will have a video, a random video being played. So let's actually make the header view taller. So how do we do that? There's also a size delegate we could implement in the protocol. So let's go to our view controller. And now let's go to our delegate methods. In our delegate methods, we have the size for item. We have the insets for the section. How much padding does it have around it? Next, for the supplementary header, we need to implement the reference size for header. I'm sorry about the names, guys. I did not make the names. So type in reference for header. Okay. Reference size for header in section. Basically, give me the size for the header. Okay. It could be easily called like size for header in section instead of this reference size, but that's fine. What does this return? It returns a CG size. Okay. A width and a height. So let's go ahead and do so. So return, we could simply return here the width and the height of the thing. So we could return a CG size, a width and a height. For the width, we'll say take up the entire collection view. So collection view that bounds that width. And for the height, we could make it some sort of like a percentage of the height of the collection view or the height of the screen. In that case, the collection view is fine. Collection view that bounds, that height, and we'll make it say 40%.
That's a lot.
We could decrease it based on what we have. Yeah, that number we could always change.
We have of the cell. The cell is 40 as well.
Yeah, we could change those numbers, but let's see how it renders. So at minimum, again, for the size of the header, this is the protocol method we implement. It's part of the delegate method or the delegate protocol. It's asking the header, what's your size? The header here returns the size. If you have multiple sections, then you could start using the index path here, right? But in our case, we just have one section, so let's run the code. So here, this is the header height we have. I think that's fine enough, actually, for the video, right? Again, you could change it based on your own preference, but for me, I think it works for now with this particular height here. So this is our header view. Were we all able to change the size of our header view?
Yeah.
Alex?
Yes.
Are we putting a video in the header view then?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's going to be very similar to this here.
Okay, gotcha.
This video is being played. It's going to be a random video from the videos we have.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks.
But at this point, we are pretty much done with setting up the header view. Once we get the content, then we could just put the content in there. Cool? What is that? All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Next, the UI is pretty much it's pretty much good. It's not done, but we have a good UI to start adding more functionality in code, like testing out, can we add a photo, right? And can we add UI image picker controller and all those things here. There's a lot more there to add. But we'll stop here for this first part because I really want to break this up. I don't want to get us bored in any sense. So we'll break it up. We'll come back and we'll add in the UI image picker controller. We'll set that up. We'll add some sort of model object that that as we add items, the model object will get added to the collection view, and then it just reloads the cells. So we'll take a break. Actually, before we take a break, let's just create the model, and then we'll take a break after that. So create a new file. It's a Swift file. Again, we haven't added any core data yet, any persistence. That's fine. We'll add it after the fact. For now, this model we're creating, later we'll change that model. But for now, we'll just create a model. We'll call it media object. We call it media object and we create it. What does a media object have? Well, we're dealing with object-oriented programming. So that media object is going to be, this media object will be the actual data for the cell, right? So each of those cells will represent a media object, right? So our model will be a media object. We'll start off by saying it's a struct, it's media object, and a media object can be media object instance, can be video or image content, right? Okay, cool. At minimum, what does the media content have? It's going to have some sort of image data. Again, we know images, we can save like a UI image. We have to convert it to data. So here we'll say it's data, and we'll have a video URL. Well, we'll have a video URL of type URL or string. Next, we'll have some sort of caption. I don't think we'll add any UI for now. So like add
instance can video or image.
Media object instance can be, media instance can either be a video, or image. Okay, so when I'm clicking on, this is a video.
Okay.
The next one could probably be an image.
Okay.
But based on the transparency here, it's probably a video as well. Okay. Cool. Awesome. You are welcome. So caption could be, again, that would be like a UI, so the UI so that the user can enter text. I don't think we have the time for that. And we love IDs. I'm a big proponent of always making sure your objects have some sort of ID. So here we'll use UID and we'll say, get me back a string from that UID. Again, UID is an API that gets you like a unique string or a unique ID. And that ID, we convert it to a string. Okay, so that will be guaranteed to be unique. And lastly, what do we want that object to also have? We like IDs and we like
dates.
Dates. We like dates. We want to know when things got created so that we could sort them by that. So here I'll just create a date on the fly. So an ID gets created on the fly, a date gets created the minute that object is instantiated. Okay? Anytime you're creating some custom object, please have an ID, have a date. Okay? Very useful. Like start out really early just doing that because you want to be able to sort by date. Maybe you want to get rid of something if it passes the date. Like for example, if you're creating some stories, right? It passes 24 hours, you want to delete it from your app, that kind of thing there. All right, so this is our model. And again, we'll break here and we'll come back in